please remember. Oh, this is the thing to say because it's making me want to cry. I really, really wish every woman out there would pause for a moment. It's easy enough to say, yes, put on your mask first. Everybody's heard that analogy when the mask drops in the airplane, put yours on first. But it's a bigger thing to encourage that in life. Every woman out there who's listening, no matter what age, because there is no finite age of when to hear this, you are so valuable by being who you were meant to be. You are a gift to life. You are worthy of the love of yourself for you first.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's wonderful conversation. We are shining the light on our community, and we have a very special guest, someone that I've been really looking forward to talking to, and our beautiful Beverly Acoces is joining us from, I don't know where you are joining us from,
Yes, you do.
Vancouver.
Yes, you got it. See, I knew
You're
you
joining us from Vancouver. Wonderful. Up, right up, long way. You're up northern hemisphere, right up the top of the earth. I'm down the bottom.
Yeah.
But with the wonderful of technology, we are here today. So
Weird.
thank you so much, Beverly. I am really looking forward to our conversation, which how rhythm is necessary for life, totally.
Mhm.
But what I want to start is just a little bit about you. So you worked with victims of crime in the mental health field, and as an educator, followed later by tech and travel. Absolutely. So, but in your 40s, you've experienced some large life experiences that you found first your purpose as a yoga teacher. Want to know about that because that helps so much, the rhythm and the flexibility and things like that. And we're also going to talk about finding Ritam, which is rhythm in living. There's so much more. You are a best-selling author, published best-selling author in Heart Whispers and everything else. But Beverly, what I want to really know is I'd
I
love
want to
to
know.
hear about your story to start with from you.
Mm.
How did you really get to where you are now? I mean, you've worked with victims of crime, and I just want to honor you for that. And
Thank you.
now you're moving into well-being, a well-being coach and facilitator and everything else. So, and you do yoga.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah.
And you love,
Yoga is the thing. It's the root of everything.
yes, I
Yeah.
totally agree. So tell us about Beverly.
Okay. Well, as you know, the story could be anything. There's so many stories that make up our full story. So I'll I'll dig through here and find a couple that matter. Um, yeah, I had an yeah, we can go, oh, I had an easy life as a child, or I had a hard life. I had my childhood where I was taught a lot of shoulds. There was abuse in there, but I would say the biggest abuse that I see now where I stand in life is that abuse of all children of should, don't be yourself. So I meandered off into life with my way of being, which was being able to see the whole, being able to understand why everyone did everything, but buried underneath all the shoulds. So I started with working with victims of crime, working in the mental health field, working with kids in school that nobody else would have at some point. They were all probation and struggling in life. All these things I was good at, but all of them were very depleting. And at some point, I thought, I'm just going to switch everything. I'm going to work in the IT field. And even that, when I went in there to work, learn coding, learn how to develop websites when websites were just a new thing, I ended up being hired by the school to work with the students there. I couldn't escape. my purpose, my way of being. So, things went along into my 40s, and there was a couple of big, big life moments. A miscarriage, followed a couple of years later by the death of my father from pancreatic cancer. And his death was his experience, not mine, but the way of being with it was very stressful. It was depleting. And my story was that I ended up on a cardiac unit a few months later. I had a few ambulance visits to the hospital, and the third one landed me in a cardiac unit for a whole week with the 80-year-olds at the age of 42. It's like looking around at all the white hair and thinking, wow, one of these things is not like the other. And, the doctor said, I don't even understand how you're walking and talking. You've got a pulse of 30, your blood pressure is so low there, like you shouldn't even be mobile. You should be dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked at them and thought, are you kidding? Okay, so I feel a little faint, but no, this is ridiculous. So they hooked me up to all sorts of monitors, tramped in every medical student available over the week. It's like, oh, look at the creature we have in front of us. And in the meantime, what I did was sleep. I slept 22 hours a day, every
Yes.
single day. Day
Yes.
7, I woke up.
Yes.
All the little ticker tapes were going doop, 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 happy as can be. The nurse came in, said, everything seems kind of perfect. The doctor came in with his little troop of students, and he was very confused. And he actually said to me, we have no idea. We have no idea what's wrong with your heart. Everything seems really good right now, but there has to be a problem. So I would like to burn out a piece of your heart.
Ooh, sorry.
I know. They
Oh my
wanted to do
God.
what is called an ablation, which is literally going and burning out this little flap within your valves. But he didn't know what was wrong. He was just guessing. And he said, you might end up with a pacemaker. Not sure. And that was the solution. And I looked at him and I said, seriously? And he said, if you were my sister, I would tell you to do it. And I said, well, I appreciate that. You go ahead and think about what the planning would be. And I'm going to go back to the things that I know really resonate with me. I had this deep intuitive belief that I was just at the edge of all stress and I was completely exhausted, which is why I slept. So I went back to my yoga practice. I went back to my breath work, moving slower, being very intentional and connected. And I never had the operation. A couple of years later, was hiking in the Andes, 15,000 feet in Peru, in a wheel pose between two mountain tips, going, this is what it's about. This is the thing. I was disconnected from being fully involved in being in me. And I realized that I needed to give up everything I was doing and start offering myself up as a yoga teacher. The whole message of my life had been, that's not a job. Like, you need to live
That's your
within
life.
the parameters of this life, and you need to have the steady job, have the pension. Yoga, that's kind of that hobby thing. And I realized mentally I believed that. And I looked at and went, no, this is what I need to do. I gave up everything. I became a yoga teacher. A few years later, I'd opened my own studio. Then I started teaching other teachers. And I just have kept progressing. And what I realized was that everyone's idea of what yoga is, oh, go to a studio, do a bunch of poses, sit and breathe and meditate, maybe. And that's it. For me, yoga is a way of being.
Yes. I
It is
totally
meant
agree.
to encompass the whole of life.
Oh,
You know that.
yes.
So I chose to step into that and make it my way of being. Went through menopause at 50, another big life-changing moment where I was at a yoga kirtan festival, bhakti festival, and had this momentary just understanding, pure, beautiful understanding what yoga is. And I realized I was deeply, passionately, madly in love with myself.
Good.
And that's what we're
Super.
meant to be because we're part of everything of
I
beauty.
know.
Yeah. And this is now where it has all taken me. I believe that every one of us has the right, is deserving of finding bits of that within our life, of truly understanding that we came here unique and individual with purpose, with something that is a gift to the world, even if it's being the best cashier available, but not doing it because you're told you have to survive, but saying you're as valuable, whatever your job is, whatever your way of being is, because we need all of it, all of you, all of your creative force within life. So that's where Ritam of Your Life was born, because Ritam are the underlying laws of nature that govern everything in the universe, everything that's material, and that is us. Guess what? We're made of it, and we have all these rhythms, sleep rhythms, eating rhythms, movement rhythms. Everything in us has a natural rhythm that works within the nature's laws, and when we rediscover them, we start to trust and believe in ourselves and
We do.
become what we need to be.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my
Same
story.
story. And like, just wow. And I just want to really honor you, first of all, to thank you for sharing the story because it is really inspirational. And it takes us back to, like I said, what is natural in life. I love it how, you say, yoga is not just a hobby, but it's part of our life. There is so much more to yoga than just the physical postures.
Mhm.
Right. I totally agree with you. I've done or did yoga for many, many years, and then I've stopped just due to I allowed life to get back on top of me, to get,
Mhm.
to life become important, which we all go through. They're all lessons. And then it was like, well, now it's you feel it in your body. You feel it in everything else, and you do
Yeah.
get stressful where when you do practice yoga, it is so much easier
Yeah.
for that. So I just want to thank you
Oh, thank you.
for
From
sharing that, Beverly. It was
yeah.
really, really amazing. Now we are putting all your links in the comments for
Yep.
everyone who is watching live or on the replay. Can people connect with you? Well, first of all, to ask any questions, but I know when you're now teaching yoga,
Mhm.
are you teaching it online or just in person?
I do both. I do in person and online. I also do a lot of private work with people because, as I
Right.
said, yoga isn't about poses. It's
It's so
finding
much
your way
more.
being in life. It's amazing. It's so simple and yet it's so massive when you've never been told you're allowed to trust in all the things that you are. You've been
Yes.
when our brains have been moved away from that understanding. So that's why I like working with people privately. And I do actually run workshops as well and retreats. But anyone that's listening, they're welcome to go onto my website and they can log up and sign up for a 20-minute, and it's never
Conversation.
20 minutes, it's at
Yeah.
least a half an hour. It's at least a half an hour because even if you don't aren't ready to jump into a whole life-changing experience, there are very simple things you can gain within a short conversation, just little shifts that can change health habits, that can change your way of being. I don't believe in diets. I don't believe in fad anything or one breath is the only breath that will fix your life. There's something for everybody depending on who
Yes.
you are and what's going on. So I like spending that time and I'm happy to give a half hour of my time for
Mm.
free to people
With that.
just to at least give them a seed to plant.
Mhm. So can you share, Beverly, like what does well, first of all, why do you get up in the morning? What's your
Mm,
driving force to to get you up? Um, and then what is your morning routine? I'd love to know that. That keeps, because for me, your morning routine is the foundation of the
yeah,
day, right?
yeah.
So what's your foundation of the day?
Okay. Let's start with the why, because to me, it's a big why. I didn't do this lightly. I didn't change into what I'm doing because I'm like, oh, it'd be so cool to be a yoga teacher. It'd be so cool to do this. I don't want to do a job. This I did because I had no choice. And the underlying driving force is I have been, and I'll call this gifted, a vision into what is going on in the whole of life by the family that surrounds me. My father died of pancreatic cancer. My sister last year at 60 died of pancreatic cancer. My mother has had breast cancer. My brother-in-law has rectal cancer. I have an aunt and uncle. I've got a very small family who both have some major health things going on right now. There is not somebody in my life that doesn't have a major health issue going on. And I don't wear it like, oh my God, that's terrible. I look at it and go, oh, why am I being presented this? Because this is important. There's no good reason that this should be our way of being now. This never used to be. And I believe it is every person's right to see a different vision of what life can be. And that is what gets me up every bloody morning, because I'm not going to change the whole world, but I want to plant seeds of the possibility of change. And all it takes is a few people seeing life differently, feeling it differently for that to change. So it's going to keep getting me up every day. And as far as a routine, I love my routine. I want to be in the rhythms of nature. So I get up. I work a lot with the idea of Ayurveda. So I get up, I cleanse everything. I have my shower with finishes cold, finishes freezing cold. I have a cup of hot water. I get on my rebounder and I bounce because it's so good. And it's for anybody who's got sore knees or any other spinal issues, it's actually great to get on a rebounder rather than just trying to bounce, doing the qigong bouncing on the earth. A little easier on the body. I dance. Dance to me is it lets go of everything. You think for the first while and then you forget and you just trust where the body wants to take you. So I dance. I don't break my fast until I'm hungry. I don't set a time. I break my fast when it's time for me. I finish eating when it gets dark so that I don't throw my rhythms off, my circadian rhythm. But this is how I start my day. I start with this intentional way of being. I wake up, I stretch. I heard a wonderful thought about our eyes one time, and I've looked into it, and there are research papers that we have these cones in our eyes that die off at the end of every day. So we're using our eyes, and then these cells, they die off while we're sleeping. And when we wake up in the morning, as soon as we open our eyes and encounter light, those cells are burnt away and they're replaced by brand new cells that have never seen this day before, never seen what we've seen before. And so if the first step is to go, wow, this is all new, and then continue into all those things I did, then my day is pretty good.
Wonderful. And how, since your, experience with the cardiac stuff, have you had any major illnesses or anything?
No, I've never been healthier. In fact, I haven't, I've had a couple of colds. I've had the flu a couple of times. I apparently had COVID during COVID, but I had to do a test and somebody told me I had COVID. And I was like, really? This is it? Okay. Like there is just, I am my best self. I'm the same pretty much weight I was when I was 17, 18. I am more active in some ways, stronger. And I was doing a lot in my 20s, but I'm stronger and more present, more balanced than ever in my life. And I'm more creative.
So how often do you practice yoga? Like the actual, is it like how?
You mean the asana, the movement poses? every day in some form or other, whether it's just doing a few yin
Movements.
poses or stretches. Sometimes I add in primal movement, but it's still with yoga, with lunges, with downward dogs. Every day I do some form of it.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. The days I teach a lot, I do a smaller version for myself because I'm already getting into my body a lot and
Mhm.
everything in moderation. But there isn't a day that I don't do it because otherwise we just start shrink wrapping ourselves.
Mhm.
We get
Exactly.
stuck in
Yeah,
ourselves
that's,
and our energy only flows if we're in motion and letting things unglue.
I get that. And I also feel it. I
Oh yeah.
feel your energy. I feel the flow of your energy. So I just want to say, Sarah is watching us. Sarah
Mm,
is watching us, and she's saying thank you for sharing your story with us, Beverly, and thank you
mm,
for watching. It's really, really, really appreciated.
mm,
And I've got more questions to ask you, but let's
mhm.
just do a few. But like if you could go back and visit your 18-year-old self or even your 20-year-old self,
Yeah.
what message would you give them?
Everything about you is right. It's absolutely right. Everything that is coming towards you is not wrong. It is a lesson that is going to be so worthy of everything you're moving towards. Do not judge the moments. Do not judge yourself. Just breathe deeply and know that you are exactly who you need to be.
I love that. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. Now, is there anything else that you would like to share with the world? Is there any questions that I could have asked you, and how would have you answered? What, what else would you like to share with the world?
Too much for the time we have here, but
I
um,
think we need, I think we need a part two, Beverly. So please do come
yeah,
back.
I definitely will. You know, I love what you do. That's why I join all the panel discussions that you have when I can. But just for today, just because of what I've been watching the last little while, um, I'm seeing a lot of pain in people, and a lot of it is pain in women who have, reached a certain point in life where they've given up so much of who they are, thinking that they're being good by giving themselves up to support others. I think what I would say is please, please, please remember. Oh, yeah, this is the thing to say because it's making me want to cry. I really, really wish every woman out there would pause for a moment. It's easy enough to say, yes, put on your mask first. Everybody's heard that analogy when the mask drops in the airplane, put yours on first. But it's a bigger thing to encourage that in life. Every woman out there who's listening, no matter what age, because there is no finite age of when to hear this, you are so valuable by being who you were meant to be.
Yes.
You are a gift to life. You are worthy of the love of yourself for you first. It is not a bad thing. It is not the wrong thing to love yourself first. It doesn't mean ignore everybody else. It means trust that you are worthy of seeing your beauty, seeing your value, seeing your abilities, your creativity. And once you've seen that, do something, do anything for you
Yes.
that cares for that, like you would for a baby. And then be the example to everyone in your life of what life can be. I would give anything to be able to look at every woman I see and see in them this understanding that they're worthy of all the love in the world, that they are a piece of the beauty of the universe. And it's really time. It is time. That's it.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Just really like to honor you for saying that. And it is so true. And whatever we can do, whatever sacred you can do to support you in sharing that with the world and, and your mission and really, and I agree, it is time.
Yeah.
It is time to reconnect with that divine self, that sacred self.
Yeah.
That's the natural, the real self.
Yeah.
Even though we're living in this crazy world, it makes such a huge difference. And you are an example, a walking, living example of how our lives can change and how we can live in this world when we connect with that sacredness, if I could just say, that real in the real self within. So
Yeah.
thank you, Beverly. And
Thank you,
thank
Sophia.
you ever so much for joining us today. I would definitely like to have another conversation with you at some stage in the future.
Yes.
We're definitely sharing all your links with you for people to connect with you through however way they want to connect with you. But I've been honoured to be able to chat with you today. So really, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sophia. And really, thank you for the heart and soul you put into this creation called Sacred You.
Thank you.
It's a seed that's growing.
Yeah, thank you. And we look forward to seeing you on a panel discussion, which should be coming up soon.
Yes, it is.
I do believe you're on a few of our panels. So thank you. And I said, you're wonderful. Your energy enlightens our panels. So thank you. And there's so much wisdom that you share. So I'm grateful that you are a part of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you very soon.